Hey everyone, John and Ray from School of Trade. Today we're going to be taking a look at a strong breakdown of the S&P from the sellers, just completely swatting this move down. So initially getting into the trade, 1838 is going to be the entry here. I'm looking to initially at least put my stop up here at 46.5. Now, based on what we're seeing here in terms of the movement, I want to make sure that my risk and my reward stay good. So I'm going to be looking for a move, and that's perfect, right back down to the low of day. So we can lock our first target in here at the low of day. And then from there, we can look for a double up on this a little bit farther down. So we can look for 29.5 in the final objective area, at least, is going to be around 21. So that way we can take off some at 1-to-1 risk and some off at 2-to-1 risk, and it just fits nice inside of our risk parameters. Now, as we see this move go in our direction faster and faster, the stop will get locked down a little bit, a little bit tighter. We don't want to leave this open risk that long. This is mainly just an initial risk, kind of a catastrophic thing where if everything goes wrong and it hammers through the highs, we can get out of the trade safely at a knowledgeable loss rather than an account blowout kind of loss. So we have our catastrophic stop up at 46.5. I will be looking to tighten that up, especially if this candle closes as aggressively bearish as it's looking right now. The stop will probably just go right above our entry area here. But primarily just seeing that the sellers have been kind of in control all morning. I mean, go back a little bit and you can see that they've just been getting pummeled to the downside, and now we've taken a little bit of profit. They took a little bit of a break here, and they rode that move a little bit higher, and they had sort of an exhaustive move. They flashed up and then immediately crashed back down, and that kind of exhaustive momentum there is what's sparking a possibility for a sell, and we're seeing them follow through very aggressively as well. So strong selling pressure to the downside. I like the entry at 38. It's a nice earlier entry that reduces our stop size, and it also makes us that our 1-to-1 is right at the low of day, so everything fits in nice and well. So we have a breakdown of the prior major swings, this little cluster of range that we had here. We're breaking underneath that. Now we just need to see the sellers continue this smackdown and get that through the low of day. And if they want to continue, then we can look for that larger target at 21. So from our entry point here, given the amount of range that we're seeing today, our first target's 8.5 points away. So very strong momentum today. The final target is going to be then double that. So we're looking at a 17.25 point move for our final objective. So we're going to give it a little bit of time here. I'm obviously not expecting this all in one move down, so we'll give it as much time as it needs, but the first objective is coming off at the low of day, and then the final one off at 2-to-1 for our initial risk. All right, we're seeing some nice follow-through selling pressure coming back in. It looks like they're gunning for the lows again. We have our stop up at 39.5 with this little bounce that they had right there, and then they tried coming back up but failed back lower. That's enough confirmation to lock the stop in nice and tight here, so our risk is very, very small. Now we just need a little bit more. We're coming one tick away from the 29.5, our first target area. Now we just need to see them actually break down. I do like the way that this is looking. We are sort of setting up somewhat of almost a wedge kind of formation here, where we can draw it up something along the lines of this. I think it fits best kind of like this here. And we're kind of riding this low down, and that does explain a lot of the wicks on the lows here. Now, if this does break down, that adds a lot of confidence to our position, where we could easily look for a bigger move, and that's what we really want to see when we're looking for these bigger targets like down to 1821. So that gives us a lot of confidence as long as we break down. If we break higher, we might have to end up exiting a little bit early, or at least part a little bit early, just because that would be not what we want to see. That's the complete opposite of what we would want to see, actually. So seeing a nice little kind of falling pennant, flag-ish kind of setup here. Really what we want to see now is a close down. We came one tick from our target so far, and honestly I really don't want to see the high of this taken off, so my stop is going to go nice and tight there, 36.75. So that way if the market does reverse on us and we end up giving some of this back, we still are profitable on the trade. Now it's just a matter of seeing the sellers break down, continue that downward momentum that we've been seeing all morning. I would definitely wager a guess that there are going to be a lot of buyers with stops underneath the low of day. So that low of day at 29.25 right now, if we can trigger underneath that, it wouldn't be a surprise at all to see that smack lower with a decent run through. And that's just because this move up is relatively convincing for a buyer, right? They like this little range that formed here. They see sort of a breakout, it pulled back and held. There's lots of buyers that will be interested in that move, and this move down is not what they want to see. Now they're trying to defend their initial position, and if we can trigger through them, their stop should run us through the lows. Yeah, look at that pop. See how it smacked right through that low? That's that stop run that I was talking about. So we run the buyers out. The buyers are no longer interested in the trade, so now it's sort of a free-for-all. The sellers can start hammering this thing back down again, and as long as we get this consistent selling pressure, we're sitting in a beautiful position still. So we have 2 contracts left on the table, looking for 2 to 1, a little bit farther down here at 18.21. All right, seeing a nice breakdown from the sellers, continuing to hammer this thing lower. Lock down the stop nice and tight here since we've come so close to our target. 18.28 is going to be the stop. I really don't want to see this reverse at all, especially with closing down outside of that pennant that we found. That's showing heavy, heavy bearishness. The nice thing about this is if this does come back and swing us out of the trade at 28, we still make more than 1 to 1 on that final portion, given that our first target was at 8.5 points, and we're past that. So even if it does stop us out, we do better than 1 to 1 on the trade, and that's kind of what we like to see. So 18.21 is that final objective. We come a couple ticks away from it, and we are seeing everything fall into place with pretty much exactly what you want to see with a breakout type move like this, especially given the type of day that we're seeing. This day has been just ridiculously bearish, and we're right along for the ride. So overall, looking beautiful to the downside. Just need a little bit more oomph from the sellers here, and we should be rounding that out relatively soon. We triggered all of the stops inside here, so I don't think any buyers are going to be interested in this move at all. And yeah, there we go. We get our target filled. So without any of the buyers really interested, this allows it to be just kind of free fall. Now, this is an area that you are going to see some profit taking. There's a lot of people that probably took around the same area that I did for 1 to 1, 2 to 1, depending on where you got in, maybe 3 or 4 to 1. They're going to be taking a lot of profit down here. So anticipate lots of profit taking in a move back up, but that's going to do it for me. So a beautiful move down. Overall, 25.50 on the trade on this huge run down. Now, in terms of the S&P, it's 12.50 a tick, so that's 204 ticks on the move down for just a beautiful combination setup. Big breakout from the sellers, pennant breakdown to continue the momentum lower. You could have even added some on that one if you wanted to. Can't really ask for a better setup. So if you have any questions about it, feel free to shoot an email to School of Trade. Don't forget to check out our chart. Don't forget to check out our trial at schooloftrade.com. And as always, we'll catch you next time.